This week on the Push Loads podcast, we talk about the new cancer research, obesity advert, and echo chambers within the training industry. Alright, 3, 2, 1. How many calories of ice cream have I eaten today, Dan?
Hey guys, welcome to the Push Pull Legs podcast with myself, Dan Week.
And me, Tomo.
Tom, why are you wearing a hat indoors like a cat?
Because I'm cool.
Backwards as well.
Backwards. My mum doesn't approve, by the way.
I'm not surprised. I don't approve. Like your mum's got a sound knowledge of that sort of thing.
Clearly,
like,
yeah, I wear hats. I wear hats a lot, Dan. You've seen me wear hats.
Wearing hats is fine, mate, but you're wearing it backwards inside.
Basically, I'm getting grief because Dan can't wear hats.
I can't wear hats. The only time I can ever wear a hat is on the cricket pitch.
Yeah.
Is it a pitch? It's not a pitch. It's a field. Cricket field.
Yeah.
Cricket field.
But yeah, you can't wear hats. And case in point, I wear a lot to piss you off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it
also,
works.
It does, yeah. My mum saw a picture of me on Instagram wearing a hat backwards. And she goes, turn your hat around, you look like a thug.
You do look like a thug.
I do look like a thug, right?
Nah, a thug. I wouldn't say a thug. You're like an idiot, not a thug.
Thanks, mate.
I wouldn't be worried if I saw you walking towards me in the street, put it that way.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Not for that reason, anyway.
What reason would it be? You're leaving that to your imagination?
You know, mate. Sexual harassment.
Yeah. With the beard, 100%, yeah.
You know, yeah, the tickling. That beard tickles me.
That.
Don't like it.
But did you know how many calories of ice cream I eaten today? 1,000 calories at least. Yeah, and it's only 8:30 now, so
that's going to go to 1,300.
That's 1,300. I think I get a comfortable 1,300 calories of ice cream.
I've got some clients on less than that in a day.
Oh, ice cream, yeah, I bet.
No, yeah, definitely ice cream.
Yeah, it's been that kind of day.
It has.
It's been good,
mate. I was probably within a 10-mile proximity of you today, without us even being.
No, you definitely were. You were within like a mile and a half.
Yeah,
I was in Marylebone. I was in Marylebone all day.
I was being safe with the 10-mile thing.
Yeah,
but even that's quite close for us, mate. We live so far apart.
Yeah, of course. Dan was in Soho, and then decided to text me on the last night. You texted me last night.
Yeah. Well, I knew we'd be in London. Me and Mike were in London for Mike's first ever competitive eating challenge, and I knew that time was tight. Like we got a train in, we literally had to go there, and we had about an hour afterwards, and then we had to go back. So I was like, there's not really much point. I always get that from people. They're like, oh, you're in London? You didn't tell me. I was like, well, yeah, but I was like, talk me over the time, then I'm going. I'm not like hanging around for the day. So yeah, we were in there, but I can't reveal the results of that yet. The eating challenge because it doesn't go live till Sunday, and then Sunday on the person who Mike challenged. It's on their channel on Sunday, and then it's on our channel on Thursday.
They'll get more views.
Of course, they'll get more views. Fucking idiot. 40,000 subscribers. Yeah, it's fine. So, yeah.
Ooh, Jesus Christ.
She will do, mate. She's not as many subscribers as we got on the podcast, but whatever. Don't worry about it.
Definitely not. No.
I got asked the other day how many downloads we had a month, and people were quite surprised. And I was like, it might have gone up because the last time I asked you was ages ago.
I don't know, in like tens of thousands. Over 10,000. Say that.
Yeah, that's what I said, and they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know, crazy, isn't it? That people actually bothering to listen to us." And they were like, "Yeah, they must be idiots." I was like, "Correct."
Yeah, correctamundo. Yeah, definitely.
They are all idiots. They must be.
Yeah,
but yeah,
very strange. What were we talking about? We've got topics today.
We have got topics today, haven't we?
Yeah, it's great. One of them is I've got a cold, so I apologise for my. I am battling the little C. So it's a bit tough. I mean, bear with me as I go struggle through this. Also, I made a poor decision. I bought Fanta Fruit Twist cans.
What? A poor decision?
It is because I regret it straight away. Because now I just want the orange one. I don't want just that one, and I haven't bought any orange, and I want the mix.
No, the Fruit Twist, mate, is far better.
You're wrong. You're 100% wrong. Right. The classic is better. The classic is better. I mean, that's going on Instagram poll, but yeah, kind of. I'm not the biggest fan of the Fruit Twist.
Well, then
I don't know why. I got excited when I saw it was on sale, and then bought it.
Mate, obviously. Come on, that's just a stupid thing to say. I'm sorry, but...
That's good. All right, but we have to talk about the... I mean, this... I've written year 2 because I know we covered this last year.
Yeah, well, maybe our thoughts have changed.
50 episodes ago, we talked about the obesity and cancer topic. And is it Cancer Research?
Yeah, Cancer Research UK, isn't it?
Who've come out again and done a bit. We're also going to talk about a little about echo chambers. Dan had to explain to me what that meant.
Yeah. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, but in which context? I didn't really know what he was talking about. There's what time online does Dan? I don't really have these echo chambers. Yeah, so
you do, mate. You called your house because you talk to yourself.
Shut up.
Yours is
somewhere here.
Yeah.
No, there's no one. But so we got the obesity thing, right? Should we just go straight in?
Yeah, I mean, like, this has come around again, and I've seen a few of the arguments online, and I actually, maybe I've changed my view, maybe I haven't, I don't really know. I can't remember what we said last time, to be fair, so maybe I have changed my view since then.
What are you talking about? You didn't listen back?
No, yeah. But I've seen a lot of posts recently, and I have maybe misinterpreted the whole advertisement campaign the wrong way, and again, because I'm not obese, I probably read it differently to how someone who is obese would potentially read it. But there's been a lot of stuff around at the moment about how...
So if anybody's living in a bubble, it's 3 cigarette packets, and instead of, like, say, Marlboro or something on the front...
actually read out what is actually written on it for everyone. It's the same on every single packet. Just read out what's on the packet.
Yeah, it's the same on every single packet. So it's a cigarette packet, and instead of, like, the brand name, it says, obesity is the cause of cancer too. And then in the bit where it says smoking kills or smoking causing cancer, in that little, like, black label, right? It says, like smoking, obesity puts millions of adults at greater risk of cancer. Cancer Research UK.
So when I read that, like, I saw it, and it says, like, obesity, and it says, like, is also a risk of cancer, not the risk of cancer or something like that. You said the risk, but it's like, is also a risk or something like that. And I've seen a few posts from people that I respect in the industry and big people we've had on this podcast, basically.
So it's a cause of cancer.
Is a cause of cancer. And the research, I think, is actually backed up, like, with that. Like, it's not... Cancer research obviously wouldn't just say random shit. Like, it obviously is some kind of... Whether it's causational research, whether it's a case of, those people may also more likely to smoke, they may also be more likely to come from a poor socioeconomic background, all these things that can also lead, it's kind of that whole causation, correlation thing, whatever. But I think it's safe to say that being fairly overweight probably isn't a great thing for most health issues, right? But anyway, I don't know the research, I'm not going to delve into it, but there's been a lot of chat and talk about the stigmatization of being overweight and how that they are, that cancer research are shaming people.
It's the whole, it's the fat shaming.
Like, they're saying that it's fat shaming, and they're saying that all this sort of stuff. And maybe it's because I'm not obese, and that's probably why. But I don't get that from those adverts. They're not saying, like, other than just pointing out a fact that obesity is, much like you would say smoking is a cause of cancer, or, one of the causes of cancer. You're not shaming someone who smokes, you're just telling them that, by the way, if you decide to smoke, that you're going to, and I suppose people don't decide to be obese. Do they decide to be obese? There's a question
we don't know.
Right there.
Yeah. Well, also there was a nice graph that if you do decide to smoke, then you have a far less likely a chance of being obese. Because since 2011, this helpful is it the Independent? But like say there was a 25%-ish in 2011 people were obese, right? And then 20% of people smoked. Up to now, the 20% of smoking people have gone down to about 14%. So 14% of the population smoke, but just under 35% of people are obese. So is that a correlation or is that causation, Dan?
Yeah, like, well, obviously, we just don't know. But like, this is my.
If you want to get thin, buy a pack of Marlboro.
But no, but like they do, like nicotine suppresses appetite.
Yeah,
like people need, should look into that seriously. But a lot of smokers just have fags for breakfast and then don't bother, But you can have nicotine patches, you don't have to smoke. Well, I'm not saying smoke, but but I think that what's interesting from that is that they're talking about. Again, I do not know this research area. I'm not going to claim to know this research area. I'm not going to 1 minute suggest I know it. I'm just talking.
We can recklessly speculate, though. That's
what we do on this podcast.
Yeah,
anyway.
Exactly.
But so people are saying now that you cannot shame people into losing weight, and all that sort of stuff, and that's fine. But my question is, are there now less smokers because of the such aggressive campaigns that suggest that smoking is that bad for you now and causes that much cancer? The public bans of smoking, the pictures of all the horrible things on the cigarette packets, and the massive things that saying smoking kills and all this sort of stuff. Like, where were the people talking about how we were shaming smokers? Like, where were people saying that sort of stuff? Right? Never saw anything about it. And yet they're down 14%, and it's down to 14% now. So obviously 6% less people smoke now. Yeah. This is just completely separate to the obesity thing. I'm just talking about how did people shame smokers? Was that shameful? Was it a shaming campaign, or was it just highlighting the fact it's probably not very good for you? But anyway, when I see the obesity advert, I just saw just an advert that stated a fact that was just letting people know that being overweight is also going to be likely to contribute to you potentially having cancer. And I put on my stories, I didn't really talk about the campaign as the obesity. I didn't really touch on obesity. I don't think it's an area that I want to touch on because of all these issues with, again, people I respect talking about weight shaming. I'd never want to be accused of fat shaming. I'm not a fat shame, whatever. But my point was that if I was doing something that was increasing my chance of getting cancer, I'd want to know about it, and I would want there to be adverts about it. So say, for example, cricket led to you having an increased risk of cancer. I would want there to be adverts telling me that, because I wouldn't
you expose
know
yourself
that
far too much to this, Dan.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't know that myself. I wouldn't know that. I would want companies that research this shit to then put money into an advertising campaign to tell me that, and I can then make a decision based on what I want to do with that. And of course, like with obesity, it may not be a decision, and I get that it's a bit different, like to smoking and playing cricket and stuff, that you could, it's not as easy to just stop being obese, right? And I understand that it's a behavioural thing, it's a socioeconomic thing. I get it, I get all that sort of stuff. But my argument was that I would rather know, even no matter how much it hurt me to say that I couldn't play cricket or it was bad for me or whatever, and I have to stop, I would rather know I was putting myself at risk. But I genuinely don't think that people who are obese consider obesity to be a cause of cancer. I never did. Years ago, I would never think that. I wouldn't think that would be a cause of it or potentially put you at risk.
No.
And I just think that for me, if I was doing something that I would want to know. And my point was that I think Cancer Research UK, and I think that the problems that have come around with it is the way they've done the campaign and the fact they're not really offering any solutions or this sort of stuff. And it's not their job to. It's not their cancer research. It's not their job. But the point is they're not offering any solutions, and I understand that point as well. But it's like cancer research can't do right for doing wrong, because if they said nothing, and in 30 years' time there was a big thing in the papers or big uproar, all these obese people started getting loads of cancer, and they were like, I don't smoke, I don't do anything else, and it's all because of obesity. And Cancer Research went, yeah, we knew that all along, we just didn't tell you. They would then there'd be uproar that they didn't say anything, they sat on this data and didn't do anything with it. So they can't do right for doing wrong. And I think that the problem with the campaign has come around from the wording or how it's portrayed, and the fact that they are perceived to be fat shaming people. And I don't read it that way, but then again, maybe that's because I'm not the target. I don't read it that way. No. But I don't know. I don't know how someone who's slightly overweight would read it.
I mean, I think it's just a case of, because if they're comparing it to smoking, right? But smoking,
which I think was the goal of it. I think that was the goal of it. I think
that's what they want to do, right? That's what they did last time. This is what they're trying to do, and they've realised, like what we said about that people, we're 6% down in smokers, and it's definitely everybody knows that smoking is not good for you. So therefore, they're like, oh right, what was the smoking campaigns? What were they doing? All right, we're going to do that because we actually want to make a difference. I'm sure there would be there's a bit more backlash, I'm assuming, from this than there was. There's also a lot more media than there was back maybe 10, 15 years ago. So therefore it's more in the public eye, which is always a thing that people underestimate. They're like, well, there's huge amounts of social media, so everything gets publicised massively anyway. But also what you said about you didn't know. I was like, we didn't know because we didn't get taught it at, say, the age of 11 when we were doing like biological sciences or biology or whatever we were doing. But we would have gone through cancerous stuff like heart disease, all that kind of stuff through, I know, emphysema and all that to do with smoking, but it was getting educated then. So therefore now, because Cancer Research have got this research and they've got the data to put in, surely at some point in the next, say, 5 years it's going to be pumped into the syllabus for that, for health and diseases, and then it will be taught from the lower grade school level. Therefore, in the next 10 years, the people coming out will have that knowledge base, and it will be more normal, which is the same amount of time that the smoking thing has come down as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a long game, and it's just the people
it's a very long game, and I think that they're going with a shock tactic, aren't they? Like, I think that's what they're going with. Much like with the smoking thing, they did.
I think like they're doing the right thing. Honestly, I think they're doing the right thing, and the fact is they're shocking the kids. That's the good thing, and they'll take it in, and they'll take it on forever, and they'll be like, actually, it's like smoking, and smoking's bad. Therefore, I'm not going to be fat. That's what's going to happen. And let's forget about. This sounds bad, but like 50, 60-year-olds, they can make their own decision. If they want to be obese, they can. But if they want to lose weight, they can.
I think so. Let me find the post that someone put up. But I think there's obviously I'm not into behavioural psychology and the psychology of all these things that occur and the issues that come around with it.
That seems to be the running theme.
Because obesity is so multifaceted, and
because it's a scare tactic. Public health campaigns don't change because of their psychology, because you kind of, I don't even know what that really means.
So basically, like these are the things that they were trying to lobby people to change. Like they need the support, so change the focus of this campaign. Prioritise well-being over weight. So we want Cancer Research UK to prioritise well-being over weight, delivering public health messages which are weight inclusive and focus on empowering.
This is the whole we had this ages ago. This is the whole positive versus negative argument, isn't it? It was like, no, negativity can be bad because it forces people to get shocked and they change their opinion and they change their habits. Negativity can be good. Positive reinforcement is also good, but somebody has to have behaved correctly for that to be used. Therefore, if they're not behaving correctly, how the fuck are you going to use positive reinforcement?
So, we're asking Cancer Research UK to cease to mislead the public by stating obesity is a cause of cancer, and instead more accurately communicating the risk, acknowledging that improvements to health and reductions in cancer risk can be made without changes to body weight. Possibly. But in the long term, if you're 150 kilos and you increase your health by weight training or something, you're still going to at some point need to lose that weight. But anyway, I won't go on because I think it's a bit of a touchy subject, and I think that there's so many things I don't want to read them out say while we're doing this because it will just come across a bit wooden and a bit shit. But I'm not, like I said, I don't know. I'm not into say the behavioural.
Was that the name of the sex tape?
Yeah. There's so many facets to obesity that we don't want to disregard. We don't want to talk about this. But this post has come from someone who's big on intuitive eating and being weight inclusive and a non-diet culture. Easy for you to say. You look about 50 kilos.
You're talking
but yeah, I just think. I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of people I respect who've talked about this and talked about there's more support needed for people with obesity and all this, and I get that, and I believe that's true. But when I see the advert, I don't read if you are overweight, or if you're obese, it's your fault and you are going to get cancer, which is what people seem to be suggesting that it says. And maybe there's more. There's other ways around it, and maybe they've gone with a shock tactic that is that they're hoping is going to have a similar effect that the smoking one had. And I don't know again the mechanisms behind smoking and nicotine addiction, and also obesity, and if there's any sort of I suppose comparison or whether it's comparable, but. I wouldn't suggest that smoking disease is just stopping smoking because you get scared by an advert. Like, you're obviously going to have to wean yourself off it, much like someone would have to lose weight gradually or whatever, and the support needs to be there. But at what point are we going to all just keep talking about helping people and give them support and actually just sit around while everyone's just getting fatter? And I don't, maybe, like I said, I wouldn't maybe have done the advert. I wouldn't put it out myself. I haven't made a post about it on Instagram or on my feed. Because I can't be asked to talk about it, because I think it's not worth the energy to discuss it, because nothing that I say or do is going to make a difference, because I've got no influence in the world. So it seems like a waste of breath. I talked about my Instagram stories just saying that, again, if it was me, I was doing something that was leading to me potentially being at risk of cancer, I'd want to know that I was in that I was doing it, basically. So yeah, I just think that there's a lot of issues here, and like I said, a lot of people that I respect in the industry have made posts about it, and have talked about the effects that it's having on people. And I think, I'm not going to say anything that might get me to a point where someone might take offence to it, because it's not worth it, to be honest, because it's just not worth it, because it doesn't really matter what I think. It really doesn't.
No, I use that as a rule of life,
and I'm potentially biased in some way, and I'm sure that fat shaming is a real thing, and it goes on. Of course it does. I'm not sure that. I'm not sure, like I said, with the posters, whether they are helpful. We'll only know in the long run, I suppose.
Well, the only way they would be unhelpful is that obesity keeps climbing, in my opinion.
But I'm just reading here. There's comments from some people. Here you go. So some people I really respect on this post. So James Smith wrote a post, and he basically said,
"Cancer research." Said some people you really respect.
Yeah, I'm in the comments. So James Smith says, "What Cancer Research UK are saying is completely right. Obesity and its repercussions constitute an important source of morbidity, impaired quality of life, and its complications, or whatever, blah blah. However, this really is not the right way to go about it. Where's the solution? It doesn't help anyone." He uses an example of saying, when I was in primary school, I spent a lot of time with special education teachers, and they never had billboards saying "stupid is a cause of poor grades too." Not the same thing. But yeah, obviously obesity is very complex, requires empathy and all this sort of stuff, and I get it. And maybe that and his point is, and the points of other people in the comments are, maybe that they are encouraging people to almost point and say, you're obese, you're at risk of cancer, haha, kind of not laughing, but pointing the finger,
point it out and be like, you need to do something about
that, rather than being empathetic towards a situation. So yeah, I mean, and Martin McDonald's put a good post, and he's put, weight stigma and fat shaming are real. This promotes that. Sadly, because these people who speak out about this often don't also talk about calorie deficit dieting and all this sort of stuff. Obviously, it's not really going to help, because again, the people who speak out about it, the ones that go, "No, don't diet. Everyone's okay in a happy weight, and you're happy to be 50 kids." Well, that's not helpful either. There's obviously this medium ground needs to be found, and then Spencer Nozolski's put, doctors have been shaming those with obesity for years. It doesn't work on a population level. We can make all sorts of posters discussing the risk of obesity. Guess what? Most people with obesity already understand they're at higher risk of health issues. It's not news. Which, again, being a doctor, I think he has probably more interaction with people who are obese. So I understand, and I would take his view of the situation with greater strength of mind, for example. As a rule, and that's why I've been reading some of these comments from people, like I said, who I respect and know, who do good things, and like I said, they're saying that it's actually not useful, and that's why I feel maybe I've changed my view on what I think about these sorts of advertising campaigns, to the point where I don't talk about it, because I don't think that it's as simple as saying you can't say that, but I also understand it's not as simple as just saying that poster is going to help people, because it's probably not. It's probably not going to help people. But there comes a point where obesity is still rising and still climbing, and the reasons for that are that we are becoming more sedentary, we have access to highly calorie-dense foods at all opportunities, we seek food for comfort, and we seek it as an emotional support. We are wired to want higher fat, high salt, high sugar foods. They taste good, they give us a feeling of happiness or whatever, and they are freely available, and also vegetables and things like that are deemed to be more expensive, even though I don't think they are, than those sorts of foods, and people don't want to seek them out because they probably can't cook, things like that as well. And obviously the supportive environment of a network of friends and family also will impact on the likelihood of someone getting obesity, based on nature, nurture, all that sort of stuff. Like, the environment you're brought up in is going to affect things. Like, a lot of fat kids have got fat parents, for example, all that sort of stuff. So that's why I'm sort of reserved in my view of what I think about the advert. I can see both sides of the argument. But if I had to, I suppose if I had to say, has it done its job? Maybe the advertising campaign has done its job because people are talking about it.
Always.
And is that what they wanted? If it's good or bad, does it matter? The fact people are talking about obesity and what to do about it. Arguably, have research done their job?
It would be interesting to see the donations as well for cancer research over the advertising campaign. obviously the mentions and etc. will go up, but it'll be interesting to see how much they don't, or people
I'd
donate into or buy into because of it, and think they're doing good work because of it.
I'd also be interested to hear from people who have been obese or are obese as to what made them like do that and go, right, I'm losing it. Because there's people who do it all the time. Like, I've had a client who did it, and I asked him, when I probably talked about this last time we did this, and he just said,
I think I met him at Body Power.
Yeah, you might have done. Yeah, he just said that one day he just woke up and went, and he was watching TV and he was like, "You're going to die. Stop being an idiot." And he just changed, and he just there and then did it for whatever reason. Like, and I think that I would love to know people who've successfully done it, what it was, whether it was like, say, an amazing amount of support, whether it was a scare tactic, whether it was all this sort of stuff. I don't think being shamed into it is going to help. But there's a difference between shaming and a scare tactic.
There definitely seems to be. I mean, I can't speak to having a lot of obese clients. I've certainly had people who are higher on, say, the visceral fat scale, and I'm like, you need to turn this, and we'll bring them down maybe 20, 25 kilos, which is obviously a lot of weight over a certain amount of time. And the things that have stuck out for me is normally having a kid, or having somebody who's going to be in their lives for the next.
What's that though? So what's that? Straight away, the scare tactic there is not seeing them grow up.
They're not seeing them grow up.
It's a scare. It's almost a scare tactic. Like, I'm going to die. Like, and I think that I don't know. But I think
a couple of times it's having a child.
I think that C word really does scare people, and I think that they
100%.
Yeah, fucking scary, damn right. But no, I think that the second you put cancer anywhere near, an advertising campaign or something, a disease state that someone can do something about potentially, or they can make a conscious effort to improve upon. Is it just something to go actually? Because people go, oh yeah, getting fat's not good for you, like your heart and all this and that. Oh, you can't see the heart. You don't really hear much about the heart. You don't really, As soon as someone says cancer, everyone's like, shit. I've seen the effects of that. Like, I've seen people go through chemo. I've seen the devastating effects it has, and I don't know if it's an effort by cancer research, like I said, to scare people or what. But like I said, it doesn't. I don't deal with many clients who are obese, and like, it's not my demographic particularly. And I'm sure that those people who do work with them more than myself, like Spencer Nadolski, have a far better view of it and understanding of what is required. And if they say this advertising campaign isn't required and isn't useful, I would probably err on the side of listening to them a little bit. But like I said, I don't read the advert and go, well, that's a fat shaming advert. But I understand that by other people seeing that advert, that they may then fat shame people. Like family members potentially might go, come on, stop being so fat. Like, you look, you're going to die soon. You're going to get, more cancer. And it's like, well, is that going to help that family member? Probably not. But if that person saw the advert, would they think, shit, I've not thought about that? They don't need to be told by other people, maybe. I don't know. No. There's loads of caveats to it, like I said, and maybe our views have softened over the years, Tom. Maybe last time we were a bit more like...
Probably we're far more uppity and ranty, I'm sure. Well, we just wind you up and let you go. It was fine.
But I just... as long as obesity rates climb, mate, obviously whatever we're doing isn't working as well, So it's like, well, at what point are you going to turn around and go, right, well, what the fuck are we doing then? Because we're giving people support, we're doing all this sort of stuff, and nothing's helping, nothing's working. Right, so what do you do? What's the plan then, right?
Throw as much shit at a wall and see what sticks.
That's it.
That's essentially what's going to happen.
The government aren't doing anything.
We got other stuff, EU stuff I think about, right?
Let's leave Europe, because that's more important than getting people who. Yeah,
definitely.
Obviously, I think if people actually knew the economic cost of obesity and like heart disease and all these related illnesses that can be fixed by a better diet and more exercise, the economic cost per year of like all that sort of stuff, it would make the Brexit budget look like peanuts. I guarantee you that. And but no one gives a fuck, do they?
We would have left the EU by now, because there would have been more money to put into it.
It's like people talk about the NHS and that sort of stuff, and they just have no clue what things cost. I saw a post the other day from someone, and they said that every time someone goes to the hospital, they should get the bill of what it would have cost, even though they didn't pay it. Just go, it's nothing. But there's what the invoice of what we paid for you, and I bet you people would be shocked. Absolutely fucking shocked. And the same thing as well, going off on a tangent, but the same discussion I had with someone else the other day, that I wish, being self-employed, I wish that every single person got paid their full wage and then had to pay their tax back, because I think they would again realise just how much money they get taxed, which pays for things like benefits, hospitals, schools, all this sort of stuff, because it's easy for employed people who don't see it. And I think sometimes that they don't understand quite how much all this stuff costs and how many millions of people are taxed all this thousands of pounds.
I'm employed now, mate. Come on.
I know, but you understand. You're smart, but
also been self-employed for the last 2 years.
I mean, half the people, they wouldn't get the money back off, to be fair, if they did that. But it's just that realisation. Again, I think the realisation that people don't quite see that sort of stuff, do they? They don't see the cost of obesity and the cost of hospital visits and the cost of GP visits and all that sort of stuff. I think that makes it more real than, the obesity epidemic and the issues we have. People, when you see on the news that obesity is costing the NHS £500 billion a year, whatever number they throw out there, it doesn't mean anything to anyone. It doesn't mean anything to anyone. They don't know. They can't fathom what that looks like. But if every time they went to hospital, that they got, and they said, oh yeah, every time you went in for a 2-hour checkup, it was like 500 quid, and they got the invoice through, they'd be like, oh shit, actually, do you know what? Maybe this is actually worth doing something about, because I'm costing, all this money. I don't know. Maybe they fucking wouldn't bother the way the fucking is. Anyway, let's not get involved in that conversation.
Definitely not. You're going to go into echo chambers, mate. So
yeah. You see my point, though.
I can see your point. There's one somewhere. If you don't talk about,
there's loads. But I think the whole overriding point, I think, comes down to personal responsibility and understanding. You know what I mean? Well, I'm going into philosophy now, mate. I'm just letting go.
I'm going to move on. Exactly. I might just cut you off and start talking myself.
Go for it, mate. You don't even know what an echo chamber is, so you can't talk this next bit.
You explained it so like valiantly before the show, so it's all right. Yeah, like my dad. It's great. Right, you got echo chambers. You want to talk about people kind of posting and following the same people of sorts, but I guess this is well, you can explain, and then I've echoed my voice on this.
Yeah. So basically, like, I see sometimes I follow coaches who repost a story that they've been tagged in, for example. That's what made me think of this.
Dan's recently been tagged in a post.
No, it wasn't me.
All right.
No, I don't get tagged in shit. But yeah, someone asked someone a question, and it was like, oh, who do you look up to in the fitness industry, or which coaches would you recommend I learn from, for example? Was I
on the list above you?
Absolutely not.
All right.
And basically, this person had listed like 6 or 7 people.
And you were like, Bellend.
And I wasn't on that. And I was like, and obviously this coach had reposted it going, oh, thanks for the mention.
Yeah.
But there was 7 coaches, and they all had exactly the same approach. Every single one of them had the same outlook. They did the things exactly the same way. And I was just like, is that good, though? Like, should you put yourself in a position where you surround yourself with people who just believe in the same things and talk the same way and have the same view of things? Or do you need to broaden your horizons a little bit and speak to other people? Like, I'm lucky, obviously, I speak to you and Mike a lot, and you obviously both have very different views or different ways.
Me and Mike, like, exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. But just from straight away, who you train, how you train, all that sort of stuff. And I get to bounce off that, and I get the benefits of both of that. And obviously, like, me and Mike have spent a lot more time over the last certainly over the last year. We've spent time with like the muscle mentors. We've been chatting to them. Obviously, the way they do things is very, very different, and understanding why and learning little things from them. People like Steve Hall, learning from him, like Mike Israel, going to his seminars, understanding that sort of stuff. I've been speaking to Josh a bit more, which has been great to understand those sorts of things. We've been talking to Amelia a bit more, who comes from more of a intuitive eating, psychological, like food, relationship background. And what I've found over the year is that I have taken lots of little things from them and gone, right, well, I wouldn't do everything that you do, because it doesn't apply to my demographic, but there are elements of what you do that I would take and go, actually, this is great, and I would use this to better my practice. And I just worry that a lot of trainers worry. I worry. I can't say that word.
Worry.
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 What do you say? Worry.
I get concerned that that trainers.
I'm not letting this go.
Yeah, I'm just like so focused on like one type of person, or I suppose a way of doing things, that they just fall into this echo chamber and they just do things the same way all the time. Like, they might follow like James Smith or Mark McDonald and just do things that way and not experiment with all the other stuff and take all the best bits. And and I would say, 60% of what I do is based around the same probably demographic, or the same group of trainers that maybe you would use or you would look up to. But the 40% that we take little bits from might be completely different. And that is useful to make you a better trainer, and to have your methods questioned and have to back them up and have to support them and go, no, this is why I do this, because it's this. And I think a lot of trainers are very quick to we talked about before, go to a seminar for 4 hours, write everything down, change everything they do because of one seminar they've done for 4 hours. They just completely go, that's the way I'm going to do everything from now on.
So it's interesting you say that as well, because if you're a student, and I run seminars most weeks, right? And if there's somebody who is writing everything down, and I sometimes ask them to stop, because I don't believe they're taking it in at the right level they're meant to be as well, because they're kind of just writing it and then they'll read it later, not quite get what I meant, and then apply it in a slightly different way, which bugs me, because they're going to mislead some of my content basically, and somebody else is going to look at it and be like, that's not quite right, that's not going to happen, alright, cool, and then I'm going to get questioned. Well, Tom told me to do it. Well, I didn't. You didn't listen.
Tom's fault.
But that's interesting to me, because 100% I agree, and it's been something that ever since we started our educational system, and it was a big thing for say you speaking to Josh, it was a big thing for us to always branch out and get as many different faces and different pathways in the industry together, and try and not merge them, but try and get them talking to each other more than anything else, and realizing, that person's really good at that, we should learn off them. That person's really good at that, we should go learn off them. I know I realise I slate the PRI, or Postural Restoration Institute, and they've got flaws, 100%, but I do use some of their stuff. There's about 3 or 4 things that I'm like, that was good. They got me talking about diaphragmatic breathing. They got me about like canister positions, a hell of a lot more, about abdominal pressure, and I was like, this is all like gold, really, and I will apply it to my training for the rest of my life. And that's stuff that I was just like, I don't really. It was a whole weekend of certain stuff, but I probably took about 4 things. FMS, exactly the same. Yeah. Like screening systems, all blah 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 blah. They don't believe in the same thing. Take it away, put it in the same thing. All the orthopedic assessments, not all the same thing. Put it in the same thing. So all the strength stuff and all the plyo stuff, you wouldn't like. A lot of the guys will look at me like I'm mental when I'm doing some of that stuff, but it's just a method. It's just a way of like loading a tendon in a certain different way. But when people surround themselves with the same ideologies, and it gets very not culty, but they end up just backslapping people, and they're like, yeah, I don't see. Then you're like, don't do that. You want to do this. You want to do this. You want to do this. It seems very odd, and also they kind of. I realise they might become an expert in that field, but I can see it being very dull as well, because you're not exposing yourself to people who could be really cool as well. Just not on a fitness and health and fitness level, but on a personal level as well, because we've got to know all these people who, say Amelia, blah blah blah, all these people who we wouldn't even spoke to before if we didn't have the kind of positive outlook, of mindset of looking like, actually that's cool, let's have a look at that, let's actually ask this person what they're doing, instead of being like, actually I've never applied that, so I'm not going to bother. Like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, it's like, well, the whole thing with the muscle mentors came around because we did a video like mocking, I suppose, amateur bodybuilders and some of the things they do, and like because of their demographic and how extreme they are about things, and like Luke and Callum absolutely loved it. They're like, it was hilarious, and it's like, because when you go and speak to them and they talk about why they do all these things, I was sat there going, yeah, I get it, I understand. Like, we talked about adherence, we talked about the next level things you're going to do. Like if it gives you a 0.1% thing, why would you not? Like, these people they work with are people that will do anything to get that 0.1%, whereas our clients will do anything to avoid the 0.1%. They just want to get the bare bones, right? But understanding why people do that, it doesn't mean that they didn't, like I said, they see the funny side in what they do or whatever. And the same with like Amelia and like intuitive eating and stuff. Like she'll understand, like, well, yeah, like understand that, obviously we all just want to eat cheesecake all the time, so it's not obviously truly intuitive. Like, there's elements to it that are not, and you have to think about what you're doing. And you can strawman every single little demographic, and like you say, and people can take the piss out of what we do, and the fact that we just do basically probably do the bare minimum, train hard, eat what we want, kind of thing, within these certain amount of calories, and they probably take the piss out of us for not wanting to be the best, and that's fine. Like, it's great, like, because the industry needs diversity, but it's understanding why certain people do these things. And I think that Like we went to see Kerry Sexton, and we've got that YouTube video coming out soon. Like, just a complete different mindset. Just like completely, like focused on that one goal of getting to the Olympia stage. Nothing's going to stop her. Like to the point where we were like, we play our Bean Boozled jelly bean game where you have the jelly beans and they're either like horrible flavour or good flavour. And she's like, no, I can't do that. We're like, well, it's 5 jelly beans, Kerry. Come on, like, you know. And she's like, no, I'm dying for my competition. Like, I can't touch it. I was like, well, just have a little bit less of that. No, I can't do it. Can't do it. Like mindset's just like completely switched on, and fair play to her, you know. Like she was like injured doing cardio, and she was like, no, I've just got to do it. I've just got to do it. And it's just like there's a reason that she's going to be the best, or a reason that she's going to be at that level. And it's just about understanding that, like I say, collaborating with these people and learning from them. You may not agree 100% with everything they do, but you'll be surprised when you go and see them why they do things or why they do it a certain way. Or who they're trying to reach.
If you do 100% agree with, then I would question what you've been doing like the whole of your life. And then it basically like my first seminar, and they're like, yes, this is gold, this is all I'm going to do, and applying it within 2 seconds of learning it. Also, bugbear of mine, that means you haven't tested it on yourself.
Yeah.
Number one, then tested it on a client that you probably is pretty safe on. Number two, and then you haven't realised maybe after a month that I've seen any benefit, or I don't know, cost of benefit kind of thing, and realising what's going to actually happen with that exercise or that, I don't know, nutrition template what you're using. I have no idea.
But I've had a lot of clients and like people that are really I've got close to even say to me like, oh, I don't agree with what you said on that post. Or whatever, and I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, it's great. Like, I wouldn't expect you. I don't want you to take everything I say as gospel. Like, I want you to sit there and go, I'm not sure I agree with that. Like the thing we just talked about, the obesity. There might be people that completely sit there and go, no, it's fat shaming. Like it's ridiculous. Like, don't
people
agree
have
with.
switched off already, mate. It's 40 minutes.
Yeah. But then there'll also be people who go, no, it's not fat shaming. Like, it needs to be a scare tactic or whatever, and that's fine. Like your side of the argument is your side of the argument, and it's yours to have and keep on to, and it's. I just think that's the problem with the industry. People think that they're always right, and they're so afraid to be challenged. And it's like, as long as you have a rationale for why you do things, and I always have a rationale for why I do things with my demographic, and why I don't do certain things with my demographic, and I will back them, and I will always say that's my rationale. But
also, if you were shown a better way, then there's a chance that suddenly my practice is going to be changed for the better.
But also, it's not also the way that it works. It's never going to change like that in 1 second. It's never going to change in a day or a week. It always, over time, develops. Like you said, it might be something that you try with 5 clients for a month, and then you go, I'll tell you what, all those 5 clients did really well with that. So now I think that might work. And I'll ask them, yeah, it was great. Like, really noticed improvements. Right, any clients that are like them in the future, I'm going to make sure I do that with. And then over time, you develop things. It's not a case of
something that I do is automotive coaching as well. So drip coaching and like retention tests. If any other coaches do this, it's something that I would start to just to see whether they react in certain clients. Certain clients react in different ways. This is something I put in, I don't know, the last couple of years that I'll try with every single person. It's like retention tests and acute and chronic learning tests. Very strange. See whether they pick up exercises in certain different ways, and then you write them down how they learn. That is something somebody could do. Madness.
Perfect.
I know.
Yeah. But it is. But it's like it's interesting because like you say, it is. It should be forever evolving. Like I wouldn't say the way I do things now is the same as I do things a year ago, and it shouldn't be. You should always be evolving. And these things, like I don't want people to listen to this thinking, oh, when am I going to have these light bulb moments when someone listens to something? It's like it doesn't happen like that. It just
always happens on the John, mate. Always happens on the John.
Yeah, that's true. But like it'll happen over weeks and months of you conversing with these people and speaking to them and going, oh, actually, that thing they said, I get that now, or like that makes sense. But it might even be like being more content with how they do things and going, okay, I get that now. Like it might not even be that, you know, you might have just previously looked at it and gone, that's bonkers, and now you're like, actually, I get it. Whatever. There's like, except for the only like one thing I would probably say doesn't apply to is fictional patterns. But other than that, we're good.
Fictional patterns.
Functional patterns. But like even like you say, even a good coach can see what he's trying to achieve to a certain degree. I suppose
badass training videos.
Yeah, obviously. In that. Yeah, exactly. The only thing I think I've taken from him is that you don't have to always train in sagittal plane. That's probably about the only thing that.
And more often than not, train with your top on because it's.
But no, I just think it's important for everyone to have that view and to think about. Like I said, don't take. I suppose what people say is gospel, but then again, when it comes to cereals and protein bars, like we know what we're talking about, so don't talk to us about that. Like we know what we're doing.
We could probably do that, and we do that next week. Week after.
Questions.
Should should probably do a protein bar review. We haven't done one in a very long time. Do that live, mate.
Oh yeah,
live with Isabel.
No, that's not next week. It's the week after, isn't it, you?
Yeah, I might saunter down. We'll see.
But yeah, I mean, you've probably got more to add to that than me, I suppose, in terms of like in-person training. So I bet you've seen trainers do courses, and then a week later you're like on the gym floor.
Yeah, and I was 100% one of them when I started doing it. Yeah. Definitely, I was like, this is great. I'm applying this. This will work on every single person. Guess what? Not all my clients are the same. Really? Yeah. Oh, really? They're not all like 45-year-old men who suffer from hamstring strains. No, really? Oh, okay, cool. I thought I was just training them. Previous footballers. Which is what me and Dan used to get lumped with, basically. Oh, they worked in football. Great, cool. That's just what we want to get away from. Like, yeah. No, 100%. It happens all the time, especially with. I feel like obviously nutrition. I feel like you have like, you got your little camps of like, it fits your macros and intuitive eating and keto, and we all understand that they all fucking work if you just apply it. But within training, I'm a big plyometric guy. I like bouncing around and doing calisthenics. I don't want to load somebody unless they can't move their body weight. All right, well, they're never going to progressively overload, you moron. And then I'm going to change tempos, or I only use barbells. I'm just going to do straight S&C. That's it. I was like, well, you're missing every rotational plane that there is. Cool, awesome. All right, we realise that we move as like, I know, cross-chain people, and that's how we're not just all up-down kind of rehearsed movement. We have to react to certain things during our lives. So you got those kind of people. I guess I want to do crap tons of CrossFit, that kind of people, beast themselves far too often, end up feeling injured a lot. I haven't seen that a lot, actually. CrossFit's kind of died down, I feel. There used to be a lot more piss take from that. Which is a good thing, I guess. They've calmed down, stopped getting injured so much as well, or they just don't come to me for injuries.
Maybe.
More than likely. The bodybuilding stuff is still free. I'm very sheltered, I feel like, in third space from any of the normal bodybuilding people. I think if I went to a normal gym, a more budget-based gym, I would see it a hell of a lot more. Not saying that, I don't know, we try and educate our members as much as our trainers at some point, but it's still moronic things going on. But then, there's obviously still the cardio bunnies, all this kind of stuff. But especially within trainers, I think it's always the rehab stuff that seems to boil down to, I feel. People have a lot of different opinions. Whether it's like, it's definitely the parasympathetic nervous system that's being hacked there. Like, is it? How the hell do we know that?
Do you know that? Do you know that?
What is
How are you
going
testing
on
that,
there?
mate?
I was like, what pro? If you move your fourth toe and your metatarsal slightly in a sagittal to transverse plane at 25 degrees, applying 25% force into the ground, you will fix your left earlobe. Alright, wonderful, cool. That'll definitely happen. So all this kind of stuff that I'm like, alright, I find it very hard to buy. And there could be research on it 100%, but if I apply it, then we'll see. There's the anatomy of motion guys, that's the toe people, which I started thinking about toes a little bit more. Cool. So I've taken something away. And then there's who's the sling pattern people? Free movement. It's Gary Gray?
Yeah.
Gary Gray. The Gray Institute, which is there's some cool stuff in it. And you realise probably one of the worst sensations of, I guess, when people go and stretch, etc., is being tight in your thorax rotationally. Yeah. So I think that's one of the worst things to feel. And Gary Gray plays on that a hell of a lot. So it's rotational thoracic stretching. And that's, I think you feel like jammy. You feel like I can't move in any way. So that's quite cool. You can apply that kind of crap. But take little bits, put it in. In my warm-up, I think, in a generic warm-up for, say, a full-body session that one of my clients would do, they have stuff from Exos, stuff from Gary Gray, they have probably a PRI breathing drill, they probably have an FMS breathing drill. I can think off the top of my head. My generic warm-up is made up of 4 different rationales, I guess. And then it'll be primed. So I think that's the way you got to think of it, and take little bits that apply and they merge together. If anybody wants to see that warm-up, then I could video it. Make Dan do it. his heart rate will be flying.
It will be, mate. Yeah. Definitely.
100%. But yeah, don't take everything as gospel. Decide your own opinion and maybe test on it for about a month. Pick a client that you think will be able to might react well. Don't just blanket it for every single person.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
No, doesn't work, and because you'll have negative connotations with it because some people won't like it or it won't work with, so therefore you won't do it again, and suddenly you hate that theory. Shop. Okay, awful. Right, mate. We done? I think we're done.
I'd say so.
Any other biz?
Upset enough people?
Probably. Listening to our voices for 50 minutes, 100% of people are leaving dissatisfied. Any other biz?
Well, no, other than that, in a couple of weeks, obviously, you're going to be here when we do the podcast, mate. We're going to do it live, so we could, if anyone's got any ideas of what they want us to talk about or see us do or something, we could do a video version maybe. Could be a special event. God. I know, special.
Can I wear a hat?
You can. You're fucking probably are going to wear a hat, aren't you? That's it, I think, from me. Other than, if anyone's obviously interested in coaching, don't forget to message me on Instagram. You can get involved. Join the waiting list if you're looking for a coach in the next couple of months. I'm your man.
Okay. I'm not looking for a coach, mate, so it's alright.
You fucking need one, mate. And also, if you need someone to take you for a good warm-up, go see Tom.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Yeah, good. Or just buy me a coffee. That's fine. Yeah, keeps me warm. Alright, mate. I will see you next week.
Speak to you next week.
Yeah.